Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our interview tonight with mayoral candidate Breeani Kobayashi. Conducting our interviews tonight are Kalei and Alexia. A little bit of information about HULI PAC before we get started. We are a group of grassroots community advocates volunteering our time for HULI PAC. Many of us have witnessed during oral testimonies the problems of being minority voice, observing seated representatives voting against the āina or the majority of testifiers. The majority rule currently allows the continuation of colonial structures, corporate rule, and methods over Ike Hawaii for āina and its people to thrive. We must collectively understand the individual power we carry as Hawai'i Island residents by getting involved. Let's start the interview. Our first question, Alexia.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Breeani, for joining us today. Really excited to get the chance to interview one of the newer candidates for mayor. So yeah, the first question is really about the office of the mayor, and I'm particularly interested in what parts of this role are you most interested in growing into? So what parts of like being a mayor as a position are you most excited about?
Well, I think the main goal of the mayor and the main description of the mayor is to serve the public. The mayor is a public servant. And I think that at times that's forgotten, that the main role of the mayor is to serve the public in whatever capacity that means. I feel that right now, the needs of the people are not reflected in government, like you just shared. A lot of times you go to oral testimonies and people feel like they're not heard. And I think my goal and something that I'm most excited about is to really hear the people, hear their concerns, and pull the trigger to actually make things happen and do things in a pono way. I think that leadership ultimately comes down to serving your community, doing what's right. And sometimes, most times, doing what's right isn't always the easiest thing to do. And I think that's what excites me too, is that right now, there's a lot of momentum. There's a lot of different people, such as yourselves, who are doing really great things in the community. And we should be partnering and collaborating with people who do know more than us in a lot of different aspects of government, and tapping into what they're doing and listening to the needs of communities and hearing what they have to say and partnering with them to figure out creative and bold solutions. And I'm here to answer that call. And I'm really excited about serving the needs of the people and representing our community in representing our community and our county to really have the intention to resolve issues. We really need things to get done. We know the problems. There's so many problems and they feel like they're never ending, but we need solutions. We need creative solutions. And I'm a problem solver. So that part really excites me, that if we become mayor, we have the potential to make change and to make things happen and to have better things happening in our community. And my goal is that the needs of the people will be reflected in government. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was a very powerful answer. Passing over to Kalei for the next question.
Hi, Breeani. Nice to meet you. Thank you so much for joining us today. If elected to mayor, what departments and personnel do you think need immediate rehabilitation and new appointments?
I think every department we need to look into. I think there's some departments definitely need auditing as well. At this point in time, I think it's important when we look at directors and their positions to really think about like their position and what, for instance, a finance director. That person should be organized. That person should have obviously an understanding of finances and budgets, but also that person should be transparent. So looking at the directors and the roles in leadership and really making sure that their positions in leadership also align with their values. Are they transparent? Are you well balanced? Do you understand your community? Are you rooted? These are really important things. And to be honest with you, I think we need to look at every department as a whole, from leadership down, to figure out where we need to make better changes. I don't have any specific right now, oh, this department exactly, but I think the county as a whole, there's so many things happening and our people and residents feel like there's a lack of trust. And I think that in order to really heal a community and to heal ourselves, we have to heal from the inside out. So regardless if it's, you know, 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 departments that need help, really going into the county and healing from the inside out is actually going to take everyone's help, and all employees, not only from leadership from top down, but from bottom up as well. And one, just to add, I think the typical idea of leadership comes from looking at it like the leader and then the people beneath it. But I think leadership really is when the leader is at the center and we're collaborative and we grow together and we connect. And that is not this top-down approach, but it's regenerative. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Next question. If elected, what are your top 3 goals as mayor, or mandates, that initiatives that you're looking forward to focusing on?
One thing I'm very passionate about is making sure that local people can stay in Hawaii, especially Hawaiians. Right now, just the price of everything, it's just really difficult for people to stay in Hawaii. People just aren't able to the quality of life is suffering for Hawaii residents right now. And one of my main goals is to make sure that Hawaiians have a place to call home. If they've moved away, but they want to return, I would love to create opportunities for them to come home and be able to be here. But for our current residents, really creating an infrastructure that they not only can survive, because people are literally living paycheck to paycheck, but thrive in our community. I think that definitely comes from creating more affordable housing structures. Right now, affordable housing is affordable for who? That question is, you know, affordable housing. There's a difference between affordable housing and attainable housing. And are we working towards local people being able to live here and thrive here and stay here? So one thing is that I really want to work on is to aim to make sure and ensure that our local people can live here comfortably, not live paycheck to paycheck and just survive, but actually thrive. Something else I'm really passionate about is our current the way that we treat our āina, you know, in every aspect of everything that we do. We are one with the land, and we need to remember our place in Hawaii. We need to remember where we're located, and we need to take better care of our land. We're wasteful, we're abusive, we're polluting our land, and we need to do so much more to be better about prioritizing the needs of our land and our āina. And that comes from food sustainability. So one thing I'm really passionate about that I would like to focus on is investing in our local farmers and giving them more opportunity to have land to be able to export our products. Right now, 90%, you guys know all these things, but you know, 90% of our food is imported. We live in Hawaii, we live in this abundant place, we thrive, and yet we're so wasteful. We don't use our resources and we don't take care of our farmers. So something else I'm passionate about is investing in our agriculture and our local farmers. The third thing that I would like to do is focus on our keiki. I have 2 children of my own, and I'm worried for them. I'm worried not only about my keiki, but the future of Hawaii. And these things that are happening are literally happening on our watch. So these things that are happening, and with our keiki, I mean everything, every single thing that you can imagine, from education to sports to recreation to mental health to making sure they feel supported to having better education. And I feel like constantly we go back to saying, when we try to get support for our keiki, what I hear is, well, that's a Department of Education issue. Well, that's a state issue. And to me, I just look at it and it's like, they're not state kids. They're not county kids. These are all of our keiki. They're just kids and they need support. And whatever we have to do to make sure that they have the support they need, because we consistently tell everybody that the keiki are our future, but what are we doing for our keiki? So in every aspect that keiki touch, we need to be invested completely in our children. And if it's not something that people want to take on because we continue to pass on and delegate different kuleana to different people, then it's something that I would like to take on. So definitely passionate about affordable housing, making sure that we can allow people to retain and live here. The second is boosting, helping our local farmers and boosting our agriculture capacity. And the third would be just ensuring that future generations and our keiki can be taken care of, and that we can invest time, money, resources, whatever we have to, into ensuring that they thrive here as well. I have a lot more, but you only said 3, so.
Thank you for consolidating. Like,
So I'm also putting together a couple questions. And this is coming from, as we were talking about, keeping kanaka mo'oli back on āina. And for my whole career, up until this year, I've had to be a commuter and essentially work off outside of the Big Island. And I recently was looking on the county website to see if there was anything that I could apply for. And there's a gross discrepancy in the wages that the county offers for some of the positions. And if we're putting money into our communities, do you see any type of remedies for any of our county jobs and the discrepancy in pay that's currently being represented?
Well, first of all, there's so many discrepancies. When you look at the budget from operating budget and from a CIP budget, the CIP budget changes every 3 years while the annual budget changes annually. And when you look at them individually, there's just so many things that need to be changed. The salaries and wages definitely are something that needs to be considered and talked about. I know that, and I want to be careful, but in, unless things are getting better in certain areas, I don't always think that's an increase in salary is deserved. We need to really look at salaries and wages as incentives. When people are doing good, when things are doing well, when communities are thriving, that's when you give yourself a raise. That's when you get a raise. When things are getting worse. So I think not only in terms of salaries and wages, but altogether, the budget needs to be looked at. We can be better in our spending. We can be better in allocating not only financial resources, but every type of resource. I think looking at salaries and wages and really understanding it is really important. We currently have, I want to say 413 vacancies in the county. So that's another issue, the vacancies, and are we building up our next generation of children so that they're able to get these jobs? Are we making sure that we're giving our keiki the opportunities and the resources and the tools so that when they apply for a county job, that they are even at the playing field as other people? And I don't think we are, because a lot of our local people, even with degrees, apply for positions and they don't get them. But other people from out of state have a higher chance of obtaining these positions. So I think looking at the budget as a whole needs to be done, not only in salaries and wages, but there's definitely some concerns there that we definitely will be addressing.
What kind of process would you go through? You mentioned a lot of the different vacancies that were there. What kind of process would you go through in terms of filling those vacancies? What type of people would you be looking for?
I like this analogy. We see someone drowning and we jump in and we save them, and we see someone drowning and we jump in and save them, and we see someone drowning and we jump in and we save them. And rather than swimming upstream and figuring out why people are jumping in to begin with. And I think taking that same upstream approach in any type of employment is really important. So in this situation, right now, there are 1/3 of our population that's retiring, and a third of those people, they have this wealth of knowledge. They're so abundant in what they know, and there needs to be a way where those people can pass down and share knowledge with the younger generation, so that those people can really be in county positions and want to stay in county positions and understand the county as a whole, so that they can hopefully stay in and then eventually retire. I think we're looking at things where we have jobs, and we need to fill jobs, and we're just kind of filling them based off of criteria of, do you have this degree? Do you have this degree? Okay, you're here. But then people come in and they might not understand the challenges or the communities or the issues that the communities have been facing for years and years and years. So I really truly do believe that our county needs county employees that are residents of this place that understand, not 100%, but we should definitely be investing into our long-term residents and our children to ensure that if they want to be able to have county jobs, that they can have them and that they can qualify for them and that they can retire in them. And so really boosting up our younger generation, I really do feel is key here. And at that point, we won't have the issue where people come here and then they can't afford it, they can't stay and they have to leave. And then we have this issue, they're not making enough, they miss their family, we're trying to retain them. We see the same issue happening with doctors. We need to be investing in our local kids who are going to stay here, who want to be in Hawaii, who want to have families here so that we can retain them, so that they have long-term jobs, so that they have long-term, long-term opportunity, not just trying to fix have a short-term solution for a long-term problem. So it will be hard, but we're looking for people who are connected to the community to be employees of the county. That's really important. And it's really important that the employees of the county care about their county. And that it's not just a typical 9 to 5, where there's actual interest and a desire for change. And I do feel like that comes from our keiki, and that if we work really hard to ensure that people who are retiring or our kupuna are passing down this knowledge and information, that along the way, we're going to also be able to address the challenges that they faced, and they can share their experience with the younger generation so that we can help to have solutions, again, long term.
Thank you. Next question.
Yeah, I think that's me. We're going to switch into land use subject. And my question for you is, do you think important land features are sufficiently identified, reserved, and protected, e.g. shoreline, stream and floodway areas, forests, historical and archaeological places? What would you do to address any insufficiencies?
Can you repeat the last part for me?
Do you think they're sufficiently identified? Yes or no? And then if no, what would you do to address any insufficiencies in how those sites are identified or marked?
Well, one good example of where we're not meeting these needs, I would say, is through taking care of our coral. I know that there's a Coral Reef Alliance that's doing great work in the community, and this is something that we see a lot when government or other agencies that are supposed to be responsible for certain things aren't stepping up to the plate. This is when you see community grassroots organization just take control. So obviously we're facing the issue where there's pollution happening in our streams and our aquifers by, especially in areas where like Puako, for example. And there's instances where, Department of Health has come in front of the environmental communities in both the state and the House and has said that we recognize this is a hazard and we need to fix it. And then it seems like there's really not much being done. Although I know there is, but these are issues that are from 2018. Now we're here in 2024. And what are we doing about it? We know that wastewater pollution causes serious damage to corals, which affects the wildlife, which poses health risks. And yet the excuse continues to be, we don't have enough money. And I think that this is just one instance where the response is just the same, which is we don't have money. We don't have money. And that continues to be just something I think the residents are used to hearing, that we just don't have enough money for that. We know we need to do it, but we don't have enough money. So I would like to be creative in our solutions, possibly creating up funds, maybe working towards getting community facility district bonds where we can work with owners of areas that are experiencing these types of issues, creating and helping find low interest rates and grant money that we can couple with different improvement funds so that we can help qualify for for certain subsidies for people, but we need to be able to offer financial support to people when we're asking them to make decisions for change, such as the cesspool conversion. We cannot just be asking people to make these large transitions, but not being able to support them, but then saying, well, we don't have the money to do it either. So we need to really be creative in our solutions and a lot of the solutions come down to finding money and being creative on how we're going to get funding. So partnering and seeking funding from our state and from federal funding is really important. Not just saying we don't have the money here on a county level, but going and fighting for money, fighting for what we deserve, and making sure that we're representing our community. You know, a lot of the times, you know, we need our legislature to come here, come to our island and see it, so that when they're writing grants and they're writing proposals, that they can know what we're writing about. They can see what's going on. But giving the excuse that we just don't have money anymore, I think is where people are just getting tired of hearing that same response. So to answer your question, no, I don't think that we're doing what we should be doing. There's so many problems, but to just pass the ball and say that it's the state's kuleana or it's this person's kuleana, we need to all work together, whether it's the county, the state, whoever else, to find solutions. And the mayor's office can be that person that coordinates all agencies, including USDA, to make sure that we're representing our community well and that we're preserving marine wildlife and everything else that we have to take care of our āina and our oceans. Trying to keep it short, but
Super
I get
reactive
excited.
there, Maya. What are you up next?
Is that me? How do you feel about public access, mostly to our shoreline and beaches? On the Kona side, pretty much all of Ali'i Drive, there's physical barriers that are put out by million-dollar homes and condominiums that prevent anybody from parking alongside on the street. Yes, there is, I guess, a shoreline access way, but there's no place to park. And you go to places like Kahalu, and all the parking is taken up by tourists. So how do Kanaka Maoli, how do people from that ahupua even go and access that space? Not only that, the no parking signs are just excessive down there alongside the street. And so the county will go up and put no parking signs, but no one does anything about the fact that there's illegal physical barriers that prevent you from parking alongside the street. How do you feel about giving back that access to community?
Oh, I am in full support of giving back that access to community. I cannot say enough how much I support giving that back to community. We should have access to enjoy our beaches and our land just as much and more than anyone else. This is our land, this is our home, and we should be able to, our keiki should be able to jump in that ocean. They should be able to play on those beaches, period. I have no justification to compromise why we're not. I don't have any answer to say that there's no good reason why we shouldn't. And I think it's really important to have a leader that has the intention to fight for what you believe in. I feel very strongly that local people and Hawaiians have just gotten abused time and time again. And as a Native Hawaiian, I can tell you that we're givers. We give. You sit down with a Hawaiian person at anywhere and they're eating a meal, the first thing they will do is ask if you want. The first thing they will do if you sit at a table with a local person, because it's in their heart, is to ask you, are you hungry? Even before they eat, would you like something to eat? Most cultures, not local style, they don't offer you. They take care of themselves. They eat their food. But if you were to ask a local person, do you want food? Are you hungry? Even if that local person is hungry, most times that person's going to say, no, I'm good. even if their stomach is hungry. It's natural for a local person to give. It's natural for a local person to share. The concept of ka'analike, to share, that's natural. But for other people, it comes natural to take. It doesn't come natural to give, and we need to change that. We need to change the perception, and it's hard because naturally for them, they don't know how. But I feel like, yes, sorry.
Do you think it's within the county's capacity to limit access to certain places, like how they did on Oahu with Hanauma Bay, to go ahead and take the step forward to protect our physically protect our resources from the excessive use, not only from tourists, but also maybe they're being overused by local residents as well?
Yes, I do. And I think more than that, more than it being there, what was the word you used? Does you feel like it's the county's?
Oh, the capacity.
Like definitely they have it in their capacity. I don't know necessarily if it's their responsibility, but if it's not, then they should make it their part of their responsibility. But to educate, because I think that a lot of times when you come in with the intention to like talk and educate, not to scold and be condescending, we're trying to teach them, you're in Hawaii. This is how we do it here at the same time. So coming in with the intention to really change things long term again, and to get people to see it in a different way, because these people will have kids. And the goal isn't to only change their perspective and shift their perspective of what they should and shouldn't be doing, but so that they can pass it on and keep that going. But the county can do a lot of moderating, a lot of helping with that, and we should be in everything. And I feel like if we do that ahead of time, again, taking it back to the upstream factor, we see things happening all over right now. I mean, we can list it on KOU, TMT, whatever it is. Where is the discussion with community before? Where is the discussion with community and with the people affected before, without it being at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday? So really including people and engaging them in the conversation, and whether that means getting together with the homeowners associations and having them come together and talk. And it's not gonna be 100% where we convince everyone, but we gotta try. But to say, it's not worth it, it's just kind of weak to me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question. You mentioned that one of your priorities would be investing our resources in the keiki of this moku. And so we're wondering, what is your plan to improve our school facilities? Are there any specific initiatives that you would prioritize at the county level?
One thing that I know, simple things. First of all, our keiki need more resources. So simple things like school supplies, and I was a little girl and my mom had to go get the school supply list, and we go all over the place. And if there wasn't what we needed at Walmart, my mom wasn't going to go to Office Max and try and get me these things. So if I went to school on, when school starts and the teacher says, okay, so everybody pull out your protractor. If I didn't have a protractor, which I didn't, then they would say, okay, well, if whoever doesn't have some, this needs to come on this area. And a lot of kids, they're embarrassed and they're shamed. So they don't go and tell the teacher that they don't have certain school supplies. And that affects their long-term learning, because they might feel isolated or ostracized. They don't have enough. And so really just giving our keiki the tools that they need. I think that's just one simple solution that the county can do to support free school supplies for all kids. A lot of parents, they don't have also the money to buy Clorox wipes and Kleenex and all these things that the school requires. So helping to really just get them started so that everyone starts at an equal place, so that some kids don't not have and some kids have. So that's one thing I would do. I think that we need to have more resources for our kids as well. Maybe not necessarily, like you said, with DOE, but to support our keiki. There's really nowhere and nothing for them to do. There's very minimal things where they can do without having money. You can send your kids to Fun Factory, Tilt, or go bowling, but these things cost money. There's not a lot of things for keikis to do to have social interaction, to increase their confidence, where they can gather together and they can get to know each other, and they can have this type of engagement that they really need. So all around, I think keiki need more engagement. They need more opportunity to connect. And another thing for resources with keiki are sports. A lot of parents cannot afford sports. Just a simple registration, just to pay for their keiki to go to sports, it's expensive, and most people have more than one child, so it's very expensive. So maybe possibly having some education initiatives for children. You do well in school, you need a new bat, you do really well in this, and you need new cleats. Some incentive for kids to do well. It doesn't have to be huge monetary amounts, but little forms of support that support the children, which then support the parents, supports our entire community. So support all around. But maybe a lot of little different initiatives that happen all over the community. That would be really, really beautiful to have for the kids.
Thank you.
How do you see yourself implementing Native Hawaiian values into the county?
We will have Pico every morning. Don't you guys think so? I think Pico is such an important part of setting intention, and it doesn't have to be intense, but I think the county would benefit and enjoy. I can imagine everybody coming down at 8 a.m. or whatever the time is and just setting intention, doing a small chant, welcoming the different mana'o of the day. And I think just setting intention that we have to work together. We all don't know everything. No one knows everything. We have to understand that an iron sharpens iron. If you're going to be with people that are better than you, you're going to be better. So the goal is to get better. Setting intention is really important. I think first thing in the day, everybody just gathering together to share, what are we trying to accomplish today? What is it that we're hoping to do? I think that's really important. Something I feel is something that Hawaiians do really well also is we're like a body. We're like a kino, and some people are the eyes, and some people are the ears, and some people are the hands, some people are the feet. So in the county, just really implementing kuleana for different people, what people are really good at, and so that we can operate as a healthy body and a healthy community and a healthy lahui. So, but Pico in the morning, that's something I definitely want to do. I think we should also be learning Hawaiian. I believe that it's possible, and we live in Hawaii and it's our state language, and I think we should learn Hawaiian. E ola ka olelo Hawaii, that language was taken from us, and that has done damage. Generations and generations of people have suffered because you've taken a language from a people, and we now have amazing Hawaiian language programs, and we have this revitalization of culture and this revitalization of language. But why not have it within government? We should be proud. We should be teaching the words. We should be knowing the language, because when you know the language, you know the people. When you know a language, you know a culture, and it's really important that we don't lose pulse of our culture in Hawaii. We're very lucky that we have Hawaiian culture in Hawaii, and we need to learn it as much as we can and embrace it as much as possible.
Thank you.
Just pivoting just a little bit, being a kanakamale in public office sometimes comes with some stereotypes or perspectives, or maybe even feeling like you might need to justify yourself to the rest of the community. But I think this year there's been new discourse around Native Hawaiians and self-governance and the need to represent your communities. So what would you do to promote civic engagement and more effectively involve residents in the solution and decision-making process?
So since I decided to run for mayor, I haven't done any big meet and greets. But what I have done is I've been going into communities and I've been learning about their issues. So I started in Honaunau. Yesterday I was in Ocean View, and I've been traveling our āina, and I'm just sitting down and talking with people about their needs and concerns and hearing them. And the most amazing thing is that they actually have the solutions because they've lived there long enough. They understand their communities, and every community has their individual challenges and unique things that they face. But what's really beautiful is that when you start listening to them, they share even more. And so I really do feel like going into communities and talking with them and making decisions with the community for the community is really important. It must be really frustrating, right? You have somebody who's never been to Ka'u, never been to Honaunau, never been to Kohala, but they're making decisions for those communities. And I think it's really important to engage with community and talk to them, and to really also be very data driven. I think we can do a lot more if we have more data. I think it would be awesome to have maybe monthly meetings that we have where we're just super transparent. We have a board we have a board up, we show our data, we show what's happening, we show what things are happening in the community. We share this information with everyone. There's nothing to hide, even if you're not doing as much as you want to be doing. The public can appreciate transparency. Another thing I would really love to do is have on our county website, you go up on the county website and it's just an abundance of resources. Right now, I feel it's pretty limited. It's really hard to navigate or find certain things or outdated. It would be awesome to have a really beast website where things are just overflowing with resources. Anything you need, you can get on the website. Even a ticker that's ticking down days of things that you've done, things in progress, things not started, things almost finished, things complete. Give us a timeline. I have a store in Keaukaha General Store. We had road work being done, and every time we would ask how long, the answer was like soon, or we'll let you know, and it lasted for like 7 years. And so it would just be nice to have like an estimated time. It's going to be 2 to 6 months, whatever it is. So I think the way we can engage community and include community is by doing just that, engaging them and including them. I don't think we do that enough. And if we do have oral or public testimony, we let people know the day before, and it's at 10 o'clock in the morning. People cannot take off work to go and testify for a couple hours. It's just not effective. And so really including people and making it, even if that means we have 2 testimonies a day, have one at 10 a.m. and then have one at 5 p.m. Make it accessible for people. If we have information and resources, but none of it is accessible, it's useless. Thank you.
Next question.
Speaking of resources, I'm growing up in Kona. You've probably seen the same thing growing up in Hilo. When we were little, we knew all the homeless people on every corner. We had a nickname for them. Nowadays, there's somebody new every week. And a lot of dealing with the homelessness comes down to our police officers, our firefighters, our paramedics that show up when called. How do you plan to, for one, address the homelessness, which unfortunately, it's a lot of people just coming in on a one-way ticket. We know that. And also, how do you plan to support our frontline first responders?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a huge problem. Like you said, I know the homeless people in my community, and now I have no idea, what's going on. So looking at homelessness, this is a national problem, and we need all of our resources to solve this problem. As mayor, I would demand support from the state and federal government to address this problem realistically and holistically. This is not only a drug problem. This is not only a mental health issue. This is not only a public safety and public health issue. Homelessness has become an issue, and it affects all different areas. And we need to be, again, traveling upstream to figure out, okay, so a percentage of the homeless are homeless because they were veterans, and this happened. So we need to address the veterans and this specific. Okay, some people are homeless because they want to be homeless. Okay, some people are homeless because of mental health and because of drug addiction. Okay, well, let's get opioid funding for opioid addiction. Okay, some people are homeless because whatever the issue, we need to address them individually. It's not a blanket solution, but taking the time and not being lazy to say, yeah, this is a problem, and we need to travel upstream and figure out why people are drowning, and stop trying to pull them out from the drowning, but stop them from jumping in the ocean. So really focusing on that. I think also with homelessness, we have a lot of different nonprofits and different community organizations that are already solving the issues. So rather than reinventing the wheel, engaging with our local nonprofits and organizations who are already doing really great work, and seeing how can we further support what you're doing? What kind of data-driven research can we do to further support you in your endeavors? Working together in a collaborative way. We're not going to solve homelessness as a county, only as a county. And this applies, it's, you know, to being strategic and analytical and looking at homelessness like we look at fentanyl, like we look at addiction, and really traveling upstream to figure out the root cause of the problem and solving that, not the reaction, not just putting a Band-Aid on it. And at that point, rip off the Band-Aid, dig out the cut, clean it up, figure out why is the cut there, and really treating the cut. So it's not going to be an easy issue, but we need to demand support from the state and federal government to address it realistically.
Thank you.
All right, next question.
That was a
I
great
think we
answer.
only have time for one more question from each of you. So, Alexia.
Awesome. Yeah, you have a very impressive community and career background, so I just want to give you a chance to maybe share some of that a little bit. I'm wondering if you could share an instance where you effectively managed a crisis, whether that was a national disaster, public health, or another unforeseen challenge.
Ooh. Well, I have a store in Keaukaha General Store. We're the only store in our community, our homestead community. And for every time we've had a disaster, I am a hub. So I'm a drop-off space. So my office will be filled with whatever we need at the time. And I think that's one way that I feel the needs. I just take on the responsibility, you know. It might not necessarily, like Kale said in the beginning, do I think it's the county's responsibility? It might not be my responsibility, but it's in my heart to serve. So we open up our store for a drop-off space. We're delivering things nonstop to Puna or to wherever we have to go, to Mauna Kea. I mean, the list goes on. But and I think this is important to say that when I was a little girl, there were things happening in the world, you know, and my mom would say, I would say, Mom, this happened or this happened. And she would say, there's always going to be things that happen that are not good. There are things that are not going to be, this isn't a perfect world and things are going to happen. But when bad things happen, look for the helper. Look for the people helping. There's always going to be a helper. So when I grew up and I would have things happen, and when I became a woman and natural disasters started happening, you know, we saw the lava flow, we saw the eruption, we saw all these different things. I just decided I am going to be that helper, whatever that looks like. So I'm really good at connecting resources, connecting people. And I feel like I've been given that gift of kind of like a vessel. Like I just am good at connecting different people to different things. And I'm not necessarily really good at, as a local woman, you know, we're taught not to brag. It can make you look maka or stuck up. So I'm not really too good about that. But one thing I am proud of is that during COVID, I was given a $2 million donation to help. And I took $0 of admin funding, 0% of admin. And the reason I did that was that I wanted to show that it doesn't take money to make a difference. You don't have to take a portion to make a difference. So it was a statement that I made that thank you for your generous $2 million donation. We ended up, oh, I can share this actually with you guys. It's an interview. I should be sharing this with you. So during COVID, you know, there were so many farmers that lost their produce was going bad because restaurants were closed. So they were wasting their produce and they were struggling and they were saying, oh, what am I going to do with all this food? And so we came up with the group thanks to OK Farms, and we connected 36 different local farmers, so 36 farmers, and we were able to take produce from each of them, and we were making very big kupuna boxes, and a lot of kupuna, they take care of their grandkids. So we were making 500 a week, and we were distributing it for free in communities. And now people know it's me because I'm saying it here, but we didn't tell anyone that it was us and behind the scenes that we got this donation and we were doing these things. But we were putting kupuna boxes in different communities. And so at first, you know, we started doing that. Then we started filling the boxes with resources, different days to pick up free food, different days that they were having kupuna care, different days they were having grocery store pickups, so that kupuna could know of the resources, because they're not on Facebook or they're not on their phones and have, you know, checking their emails. So we were providing these boxes, and we did that for 2 years. And we took $0 from the admin funding for the donations. And that's something that I was really proud of, because for those years we were able to support those local farmers. They didn't have to waste their produce. And the kupuna had healthy, accessible food, which just made my heart happy, because a lot of times our kupuna struggle and they don't have access and they don't have the money to afford, you know, $8 mangoes and all these awesome things. So it was something I was really proud of. And I think that we were able to be able to support those local farmers so they didn't have to shut down their businesses, and also support community in a time where they were really scared to go out into the public, and do it without taking any money.
Thank you. Do you have one last quick question, Calais? We're kind of running out of time.
So just speaking to, you know, one of our things growing up, we are told not to brag about ourselves and not to talk about ourselves and whatnot. But as I've gotten involved in the community, what's been really surprising is the people that have stepped forward to support the work that I was doing in the community. I think this speaks to your connections within the community, which I think are really important. It can really facilitate things getting done. So go ahead and brag, sister. But I kind of just want to hear, like, who's come out of the woodworks, what aunties, what uncles, what people from other communities have, you know, I'm sure people know who your mom is. I know who your mom is, you know, who your dad is, all that kind of stuff. And, you know, because of that lineal descent, have said, we're going to throw our support behind you because we believe in you. We know who you are. And kind of just share why these people who these people are, if you want, and why they've come up and been like, you should do this. So go sign up.
You know, like I said, I think that the true job of a mayor is to serve, and to serve your community. And that's what I've just been doing for the last 15 years. You know, when I was a young girl, my mom was a single mom, and I helped raise my two brothers, and my grandma was also disabled. And so while other kids were out playing or doing things, you know, I was at home taking care of my family, serving my grandma, serving my brother, serving my mother. And that's just what came naturally for me. And I would do all my mom's accounting since when I was a little girl. And so from I was 10 years old, I could tell her how much money we had left in our bank account, and I could figure out what we're going to eat for dinner. And I was very, very mature from that age. But I feel running for mayor is the best way to serve people through creating, you know, a regenerative economy. Right now, like I said, I do not feel that the government reflects the needs or priorities of the people. I feel we are not listening to our community, and I want to answer that call. Like you said, you know, I've been asked to run. I didn't grow up going, one day I'm going to be mayor. One day I want to be mayor. I really hope one day I become mayor. I didn't ever think I would become mayor. But now, you know, I have a business that my mom and I have owned for the last 15 years. I've worked in hospitality for the last 10 years. I have been the president for a nonprofit that we opened for the last 10 years. So having experience in business and in community and in both nonprofit and for-profit sectors, I feel, you know, I'm not a government politician. I'm not a government bureaucrat. I haven't spent 20 years in the county. I have not run for office prior, but I've spent my life building businesses and creating opportunities and building a community, creating jobs, creating economic opportunities, and ultimately changing the lives of our people and our residents. So I'm really running for mayor as an answer, as an answer to the kahea from the people. And I feel honored, you know, like the quote, pressure is privilege. Pressure is privilege. I feel privileged that people would ask me to run and that they feel like they trust me. And you know how long it takes for us to gain someone's trust. It takes a lot of time to get someone to trust you, but you can lose it like that. It's so easy to lose someone's trust. One thing you do, you lose their trust. You don't keep your word. You don't do what you say you're gonna do. People no longer trust you. And I think at this point, I feel that in my heart. I feel like we're losing people's trust, that there's lack of transparency. And I really want an opportunity to build us back up, to build a better future for our island. And I truly do feel, Calais, like the best days are ahead, but we have to work towards it. Some of the people that have come out of to come out and just support me. Most of them have really, to be honest with you, have been kupuna. I have gotten an overwhelming amount of support from our kupuna, where in the beginning people said, you have to really make sure you know the older generation because they're the voters. And I would say the kupuna out of everyone know that I've taken care of them the longest. The keiki and the kupuna, we have to take care of them, and it's an honor to take care of them. So I've gotten a lot of great support from the kupuna and from people that have mentored me and helped guide me to where I am. And once I felt like I had their support and I felt like I had their blessing, I knew that this was what I needed to be doing, and I knew that that was me answering the call. And the first kupuna who told me to go for it was Auntie Mililani Trask, and she said, "Go for it, sister. Don't look back. You go for it and give it all you got." And I just thought, hey, you know what? From one really powerful mana wahine who stepped up in times of pain and heartache and struggle and challenge, and for her to say, hey, you know what, Imua, go get them. At the end of this campaign, if I have my integrity and I do what I say I'm gonna do, then I've already won. You know, my heart is for the people. I have no interest in, I'm running a full grassroots campaign, so I have not asked for not $1, and I have no monetary interests. I'm not motivated by money, so unfortunately, you know, that's the way it is. I've never been motivated by money, but I'm motivated by change. I'm motivated by respect. I'm motivated by and inspired by my community. So I hope to continue that fire and to show our people and show our residents that we can be better and we deserve better. Thank you guys for your time.
All right. Thank you, Breeani, for joining us. We really appreciate it. And thank you, Kalei and Alexia, for conducting the interviews. I know I'm sounding like a broken record. I say it every single time we have an interview, and that is vote. We're a small, close-knit community, and your vote counts tremendously. So please vote and talk to your friends and family about voting and discuss who you're voting and why you're voting for them. And, you know, if everybody goes to the polls, that's going to encourage the type of change that we're looking for. At HULI PAC, we're building a political movement that has never been seen before. It's a slate of pono leaders. And for more information, I encourage you to log into our website. That's hulihi.com, HULIHI.com. Thanks again, and have a great evening.
Aloha.